Okay folks, we got a challenging lesson here today. Now you have 3 assigned problems. I have 5 examples, but 2 of them are not going to show up on the assignment. We're going to do those 2 first, okay? Because I think it's important you see how this works, okay? We're going into advanced algebra, kind of tricky stuff here today, okay? I want to look at the second one. Go to the new packet to the second one if you have the packet, okay? And we're going to talk about this one. These are all kind of geometry combined with algebra problems. This is a rectangular swimming pool 6 feet deep. One side of the post is 2.5 times longer than the other. It doesn't tell you what side as far as length and width. The amount of water needed to fill the swimming pool is 2,160 cubic feet. Find the dimensions of the pool. So down here put what you're finding. You need to be organized how you orchestrate your work here. Depth, which is the same as the height, equals 6 feet. Okay, now I'm going to split the problem in 2 halves. This is how to kind of work a geometry type E problem. Okay. Alright, so what we have is a 3-dimensional object. Because it says cubic feet, you know it's 3D. Okay. This is how to draw a cube. It doesn't have to be a work of art. Okay, so the depth is your height, 6 feet. Alright. Now on this side right here, you want to draw your picture first. Okay. Now as far as the other 2 sides, what we need to use is one side, so we'll have this be the length and the width. But we're actually going to use that is, so equals, we'll have length be is. It doesn't matter which one because they didn't tell us, so we'll put W. 2.5 times means you put a 2.5 in front of there, okay? So we're going to have the length, which is down here. Instead of putting length, we're going to put 2.5 W, and that can be just W then, okay? Because this is the length, this is the width, this is the depth, okay? But I know length usually goes there, but it says length is 2.5 W. So now you set up 3 dimensions, okay? And it's equal to the volume, which is 2160. Okay, so now what we're going to do, it doesn't matter the order you put, usually you put that first, 2.5 W, then 6. This is an easy equation to solve because there's no pluses in the parentheses. It's just all one big multiplication. So there's 2 factors of W second. 2.5 times 6 is 15. Then it's an AC problem. I mean, W has 2 answers, but ACs are easy. You just get the W second by itself, which is 144. You got to divide by 15 before you apply the square root, and that's 12. Okay, so it could be positive 12 or negative 12. Now, I don't know about you, I'm probably going to use positive 12, so we're going to have 12 feet be the width. Now, the length. You go into this equation, this little equation, and just replace it with 12. So 2.5 times 12 is 25. Now you could have also done W equals 2.5 L since it didn't tell you what it was, but you know. Okay, now we're going to go to the next one. We're going to that bottom one, okay? A patio's length is 8 less than 3 times its width. Its area is 220 square feet. Find the dimensions of the garden, length and width. Okay, so again, we're going to split that. And again, they talk about area. Now they're talking area, so that's just 2 dimensions. The length times the width equals the area. Now I draw this rectangle. Length, width. Then under it I put my secondary equation. Length is, so that's L equals, and I put W. Then work your way backwards. 3 times W minus 8. So you don't need to really label anything in here. Okay, your length, in for your length you're going to replace, in for your length parentheses you're going to put 3W minus 8. Okay, it's like a substitution type problem. Then here you're just going to be able to put W. And then the area is given to us 220. Okay. Now you need to multiply it out. Just do that over here. You got this you got a plus there, so it's a 2 by 1, so we have to apply the distributive property. Okay, so 1w is the one we're distributing. It doesn't matter really how you multiply, just as you're multiplying the right thing. So 1w times 3w, and then times -8. So w second with 3, w with -8. So line up your equals, put 220, and this is rewritten then as 3w squared minus 8w. So there's two answers. Now we don't get as lucky this time because that's an A, a B, and a C. So I got to move the C out of here, so I have 0. There's no C over here, so it's a trailer. Minus 8w minus 220. Okay, then we're going to go off to the side and apply the discriminant to see if I have to factor. And I'm going to switch my rules a little bit. So B is -8, A is 3, C is -220. So -8 to the second minus 4, 3, -220. So this problem that expression can be factored, but I'm not going to because I want to go to bed sometime tonight, because here's why. The GCF is just 1, so you have to go with these three things. So when you take 3 times -220, -660, trying to find two factors that make -8, it'll find it, but it takes forever, okay? So since that takes too darn long, and I'm going to make a new rule. If A, for the class, if A times C is over 200, you can just go to your quadratic formula. So opposite of B, plus or minus D square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. So you got 8. We know from over here that that's 52. Solid 52. A is 3. So you got 8, and then 6, and then 52. So 8 plus 62, 8 plus 52 is 60, and then 60 divided by 6 is 10. Most of you should be able to do that in your head. Okay, if you can't, that's fine. Not insulting you. 8 minus 52 divided by 6, -7.3. So the width is 10, then you go into the second, you don't want the negative. Then you go into the secondary equation over here, and now that we know that the width is 10, 3 times 10 is 30, minus 8 is 22. So it's 22 by 20. Okay, now we're getting into the assignment part. Now, go to the first example in your packet. Put a number 1 there, because if you need to refer back on your assignment, you can look at this for problem 1. Problem 1 is slightly different than this, though. Okay. I will tell you after I'm done with this problem, I'll tell you how number 1 is going to be different. Okay. Suppose you want a frame around a painting that is 24 inches by 16 inches. The frame will be about the same around the entire painting. You have 276 square inches of material. How wide should the frame be? So inches. Just one answer. So I'm talking area, so that's length times width equals area. Now draw what's happening here. What you have is a picture. The picture is 24 by 16 inches. Okay. Okay, you're putting a frame around the outside. Now the length and width is for the picture with the frame, so measure dimensions like that, okay? You're not really going to have a secondary equation here. So you got 24, and so we don't know these, that's x and x. So put 1s there, so 1x plus 24 plus 1x, so that makes 2x plus 24 for the overall length. Now the overall width, we know we have 16 units here, and then x and x. So that's 1x, 16, and 1x. So 2x plus 16. Now here's the confusing part on this one. This will not be that much of an issue on the problem number 1 on your assignment. A lot of people would just put 276 in for area. After all, area is square units, okay? But the 276 square inches of material is for the frame, okay? Okay, you also have to add the area of the picture, so that's 24 times 16, okay? So I would take 24 times 16 first, and that's going to be 384. So 276 plus 384, and that's your overall area for the whole thing. So 660. Okay, then you start working on solving it. You got two terms here. That's a 2 by 2, so that's the FOIL. So 2x times 2x, back to the 2x times 16. Then the 24 times 2x and 24 times 16. So it's x squared with 4. It's 32 with x with 48, and then 24 times 16, 384. Okay, so line up x squared plus blank x plus blank equals 660. So for x squared you got 4, 32 plus 48 is 80, and then 384. Now you solve it. Now, you got an A, a B, and two C's, so you got to get the C over here out of here, so you have 0. And then you have 4x squared as your A, plus 80x, that's your B, and then plus, or actually, don't put plus yet because it's negative, we're going to write it as minus. Minus 276 for the C equals 0. Now I apply the discriminant. B squared minus 4AC. So B is 80, A is 4, C is negative 276. So 80 times 80, or just punch it into the calculator. Make sure you have a decent calculator that you can do this on to save time. Okay, I got a whole number now. This, I do expect this factor because it does work out where the T-chart goes pretty quick. Just trust me. Now some of you are saying, oh, 4 times 276, that's over 200. It is, but you have a GCF that you can actually do. Now if you look in the fourth row in your multiplication table, 80's there. Now it's not big enough to go to 276. You simply take 276 and see if it's divisible by 4. It is, so 4, all these can be divided by 4. Now it's positive 4 because A is positive, and you're not going to put an X because C doesn't have an X. So now let's divide all of them by just 4. And that gives me a new A, an implied 1x squared, I like that, plus 20x, B, and then 276 divided by 4 is 69. So I have a new ABC with which to work. Now if you want to put 4 down here for your GCF, that's fine. It's not really going to matter because it doesn't have an X. So 4 is out. 1 times negative 69 is negative 69. So it's a positive times a negative, and we're adding to try to make positive 20. No. Doesn't even divide by 2, it's an odd number. Divide by 3, you get 23. And that adds to negative 20. To make it positive 20, you go plus 23 minus 3. Okay? Now, A was just the implied 1. It is not 4. Okay, it's 1. So that means you get to just write 2 parentheses with X and X. So minus 3 plus 23 equals 0. So just put those after your 4. Because first I factored out a 4, then I rewrote this as x minus 3 times x plus 23. So F1, F2, we're just about there. So I add 3, so 3, subtract 23, get negative 23, ditch your negative, and it's just 3 inches, okay? Now go to number 1 on the assignment. If you have to pause the video, just go to number 1. Number 1 is a picture with a frame, but you don't have to do all this nonsense here, okay? 864 is your area, okay? 864 is your area. And just like on this problem, you'll be able to factor out a 4 in your GCF, okay? So refer back, make sure your notes are lined up pretty good. It's a pretty long problem. Now, go to example 3, and we'll put a number 2, okay, next to it. So when you get to number 2, this would be your guideline. This is a tough problem. They're all kind of tough. A town is planning a playground. It wants to fence in a rectangular space using an existing wall as one of the sides. What's the maximum area it can fence using 100 feet of fencing? So we're finding maximum area. So again, the length, first off, maximum. Before I make my equation, I need to draw how I'm going to find a maximum. Okay, this is my first maximum, so that's xy opposite of b divided by 2 times a, and then here I sub for x. Now I might change those variables, okay, to something that fits the problem, but for now that's kind of the framework. Okay, so you need to draw, definitely on this one, draw what's happening. So you're going to make this wall, okay, you're not going to put the fence around that, but you are going to put it around the other 3 sides, okay, so that's a wall. Now before I drew that, okay, I shouldn't have drawn that first. We're working with area here, so length times width equals area. Now, length and width. This is a little bit tricky. You got 2 lengths, but you only have 1 width because there's a wall on this side, okay? So, now you're like, well, what am I going to do for the length and width? Well, what you're going to do is you have the perimeter, okay? That 100 feet is not your area. It would be square feet if it was area, okay? That's your perimeter. But it's not 2L and 2W. You put equals 100, but it would be 2L plus 1W because we got that wall there. Now, what do you do there? Pick one of the variables to get by itself. I would use the one that has the 1 in front of it, okay? So I would subtract 2L, and then I'd put a 0L and subtract 2L from that, so 1W. I would put the L first with -2, and then plus 100. Now you don't need, you can drop the 1. That's why you probably want to get the 1 with the 1 by itself. So in the W parentheses, you're going to put -2L plus 100, because that's what W equals, so in the W parentheses. And here you just put L. Okay, now multiply that out. You're like, well, what do I put in for A? You don't, because X is like your L, Y is like your A, okay? So multiply it out, so 1L, so that times by -2L, and then by 100. So that's L to the second with -2. That's L with 100. So just those 2 things. There's my A. There's my B. There is no C. Okay? Doesn't exist a C. But you got your A and B, which is all you need to complete this problem. Okay? So instead of L and A, because I have L where the X usually is, and then A where the Y usually is. So that's fine. Okay? So instead of X, Y, we're thinking of L and A. So opposite of B would be -100, and then 2 times -2 would be -4. Now divide that, you get 25. So to maximize your area, you want a length of 25. Then to find your area or your Y, you simply substitute 25 for the L's. And that finds my area. $1,250. That's your answer. Maximum area is 1,250 square feet. Remember, area is always square feet. Again, you can't put the 100 in for your area because area is square feet. Okay, they didn't give me square feet, so that's why the A stayed in A until I finally figured it out. Okay. So again, let's review that. Maximum, opposite of B, 2A, then substitute. Now length, width, area. Now, I actually used the perimeter formula without the 2w, it's 1w, then I rewrite the equation so the w's by itself, okay? So in the w, negative 2l plus 100, and then this can just go ahead and be l. Then I multiply, get my a and b, and there I go from there. Okay. If you want to pause this video right now and go try to do number 2, that would be okay. Okay. Okay, then example 3, okay, and then go to example 4 and put number 3. The area of a rectangle is 36 square inches. The perimeter of the rectangle is 36 inches. What are the dimensions of the rectangle? This is kind of like, yeah. Okay, so draw your rectangle. Nothing special about it. It's just length, length, width, width. So again, you're going to be working with area, the area formula, okay? Alright, so length, width. Don't know how we're going to align that yet, okay? Now, it did tell me about the perimeter. The perimeter is 36 also with the area, so that means 2L, because the perimeter is on the outside. It's 2L plus 2W equals 36. Then like I did on the last problem, I pick a letter to get by itself. Here it doesn't matter because they both have 2's, so we'll get W by itself. You can also get L by itself. 0, L, so I minus 2L. So I put L down. 0 minus 2 is negative 2 plus 36. Then I divide everything by 2. Okay, so that's negative 1L plus 18. And that goes in the W parentheses. And this can go ahead and just be L. As long as I end up with the same variable, whether it be L or W, I'm good. Now the area was given to me, okay? Area was given to me. The square units are your area, so 36. Again, it can't go in for area unless it's square units. Okay, so now I just solve it. I apply the distributive property. Remember, that equation we're coming back to. So 1L times negative 1L and times 18. Okay, so equals 36, and we have negative 1L to the second plus 18L. So that's an A and a B and a C. There's 2 answers for L. One of them I'll cross out because it'll be negative. So I subtract 36. Negative 1L to the second plus 18L minus 36 equals 0, ABC. Now apply the discriminant so we don't go on a wild goose chase wasting time with T-charts if it ain't going to work. So B18, A negative 1, C negative 36. So second square root, 18 to the second minus 4, negative 1, negative 36. Okay, I got an irrational number, so I write that down because I know the quadratic formula is really the only way to go. Opposite of b, plus or minus d square root, b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So negative 18, and then negative 1, and I know the square root is the 13.42. I just evaluated that. So we have negative 18 in front, negative 2 on bottom, 13.42 here. So I take negative 18 plus 13.42, and I got negative 4.58. Then I divide by negative 2, I got 2.29, approximately. Then negative 18 minus 13.42. Then I divide by negative 2, and I get 15.71. Now, it doesn't matter which one you pick. They're both positives, because look what's going to, see what's going to happen. Pick your higher one. Now your width, you go up here, and you have your answer for length. You just substitute 15.71 plus 18. Okay, so I multiply first, negative 15.71, and then I add 18. .29, okay? Now, notice how that, well, let's say I would have picked 2.29 for L, okay? I could have. So then it'd be -1 times 2.29 plus 18. And then the other one would be 15.71. So it doesn't matter which one's which. They didn't tell us which one had to be what. Okay, so a little challenge today. That's number 3, how that would work.